Hi ChemStars, welcome to your Chapter 8 video number 7, where we're going to be printing the products of single replacement reactions. We're on page 10 of your notes, and for this section you're going to need your note packet as well as the solubility table. The back of that has the activity series. You were given this in class, or else there's going to be a digital copy posted on your Google Classroom. So make sure you have these two things out. So let's look at the I can statement. I can predict the products of the single replacement reactions and explain the significance of an activity series. So to refresh you, single replacement reactions are when an element of one type kicks out a less attractive element of the same type. So a metal can replace a metal, or a non-metal can replace a non-metal. So metals will always replace metals, but then non-metals will always replace non-metals. And so what's happening is that in this type of reaction, the element that's choosing will always try and pick the more attractive or the more active element. So I know it might be confusing at first, but we'll go through and we'll look at some examples. So for example, let's look here. We have lithium plus silver chloride. So let's identify what type of element this is. Lithium is a metal, and so lithium can only replace another metal. So what is lithium going to try and replace? It's going to try and replace silver. That means that chlorine is currently with silver, but it wants to see if it can trade up and go with lithium. So let's check our activity series. And so lithium is the one that's trying to cut in, and silver is all the way down here. So chlorine wants to be with the best, the most attractive, the most active metals. So lithium is actually like will always get traded up for. These are the most attractive. And then these ones down here, these are the worst. You might say, well, hang on, I thought gold was really good. Yeah, it is. And the reason humans value gold so much is that it doesn't form compounds really easily. It doesn't have chemical reactions because it's very stable. That's why gold doesn't rust. But something like iron, if we look up here, iron rusts, and things like lithium explode when you put them in water. So if chlorine is with silver, it will always trade up to get with lithium. So this reaction will work. So lithium's going to come in here, and lithium's going to form a compound with chlorine, and we're going to kick out silver, and silver will be all alone. So how did I know the formula for this? Well, because I know my ions. So lithium, it's in column 1. Lithium will always be a 1 plus, and silver, you've memorized, silver is always a 1 plus, and chlorine's in column 17, chlorine's always a 1 minus. If that is brand new information to you, make sure you review your ions on the periodic table, okay? So column 1's a 1 plus, column 2's a 2 plus, aluminum's always a 3 plus, column 15's a 3 minus, column 16's a 2 minus, column 17's a 1 minus, 18, noble gas, no charge. Silver is always a 1 plus, zinc and cadmium are always 2 pluses, then everything I've outlined here in orange can be wishy-washy. So just make sure you've refreshed your memory on those. Okay, so we're not done yet. We have to then balance this. Let's double check. Okay, one lithium, that's good. One silver, one chlorine, one chlorine. We're all good. Just throw some ones in front of those. Let's look at this reaction kind of going the other way. So if silver's a metal, and it's going to try and replace lithium, let's see if that reaction will go. So go back to your activity series. So if chlorine is already with lithium, will chlorine trade down and go down to something like silver? No, no way. Chlorine will never trade down. Chlorine is with the most attractive element, lithium. So what's going to happen here? Nothing. There's going to be no reaction. And so this means go back and look at number 4 on the lab. And that one was copper plus HCl. So if we look at that problem, copper plus HCl, no reaction happened. Let's find out why. So let's find copper. Copper is all the way down here. Hydrogen's right here. So if we have HCl and chlorine's with hydrogen, would it trade down to go with copper? No, so there'll be no reaction. That's why that happened in the lab. Okay, let's try a couple more. So we have sodium chloride plus fluorine. Now this time there's one metal, but there are actually 2 nonmetals. So right now, fluorine is what's trying to replace chlorine. So let's see, will fluorine replace chlorine? This time we've got to look over on the reactivity series. Oops. the reactivity series of the halogens and halides, this one is the best. So fluorine is the best. Everyone wants to go with fluorine. So you will always trade up if you can. You'll never trade down. So in this problem, if sodium's with chlorine, would it want to go from chlorine to fluorine? Yep, that will work. So that will be a reaction. So on this one, sodium's going to now bond with fluorine. So sodium fluoride, NaF. How did I know that? Well, sodium's a 1 plus, fluorine's a 1 minus, and fluorine's a 1 minus. So sodium fluoride plus, I'm going to have chlorine gas kicked out by itself. But be careful, when chlorine's by itself, it's always diatomic. Now let's go through and balance. I can see right away it's not balanced. 2 chlorine, I need to get 2 chlorine. Now that gives me 2 sodium, and look, that fixed my fluorine problem. And anything that's blank, we just fill in with a 1. So I want you to try this one on your own. Pause the video, check your activity series, and come back and see if you're right. Did you say no reaction? Good job. Fun fact, you can abbreviate reaction RXN. So why is this no reaction? Back to your activity series, iodine is trying to replace bromine. So if you look at our activity series, will iodine, if chlorine is currently with bromine, or not chlorine, if calcium is currently with bromine, would calcium trade down and go with iodine? No, we can never trade down. No, it won't happen. We only ever will trade up. So no reaction. Okay, so those are the simple ones. Now this gets a little bit more complicated, but not much more. If you got these, you'll do fine on this next part. It's helpful if we think as water as HOH. That means that hydrogen is acting like a metal. How we've talked about earlier in the year, hydrogen can be a metal and a non-metal. So let's go to our activity series, highlight where, let's see, highlight where hydrogen is. So this is going to be the H plus cation. So remember, hydrogen can act like a metal. So if we go back here, let's see, if hydroxide, this is our discerning party here, hydroxide is currently with hydrogen, will it want to bond with potassium? So to figure that out, go to your activity series. If we're with hydrogen, would we want to go with potassium? Yes, we will trade up. This will be a reaction. So this will happen. So instead of hydrogen and hydroxide, we're going to get potassium bonded with hydroxide, and then hydrogen will be left on its own. But remember, have no fear of ice cold beverages, H2 diatomic. Is it balanced? Uh-oh, let's see, is it balanced? Doesn't look like it, does it? So we've got a hydroxide right here, and then we have a hydrogen right here. We'll balance the hydroxides as a group and the hydrogen separately here. So H2, I need to get H2. That is my H2 right here. That leaves over 2 hydroxide. I've got to put 2 there to get 2 hydroxide, and that gives me 2 potassium. Okay, try the next 2 on your own, then come back and check the video, please. You should have got that number 6 is no reaction. Silver is really low down on the activity series, so if hydroxide is with hydrogen, it's happy. It doesn't want to go down and trade down to a less attractive partner. And then let's see this last one. If nitrate is with hydrogen, will it trade up for calcium? Yes. So here's hydrogen. Calcium is all the way up here. So it will trade up to get with that one. So nice and easy. Level 2 chem, your test will look more like this. Honors chem, we'll have to do some of the harder problems where I don't give you the formulas, we've got to do the names. So everybody though, I want you to pause the video and start these problems and come back and check your work. Okay, so number 8, we've got zinc plus barium acetate, and here the metals are trying to swap. So acetates with barium, will it go to zinc? Let's check our table. So if you're acetate and you are currently with barium, barium's right here, so will you go down and trade to get with zinc? So let's try and find zinc. Uh-oh. Would you ever trade down? No, we never trade down. So on this one, it's definitely going to be no reaction. So we're just going to put an X for the arrow. We can abbreviate no reaction. How about this one though? Tin wants to cut in and bond with the chlorine. Chlorine's with hydrogen. It will trade up. It will never trade down. So check your activity series. Your chlorine, you're with hydrogen, and we want to get with tin. Here's tin right here. Is tin a little bit better than the partner you currently have? Yes. So you'll drop hydrogen and start going with tin. So this is a reaction. It will happen. So let's fill in what's left over. So that means that we'll get tin with chlorine, and then H2 gas will be left over. This one, remember, tin is wishy-washy. It can form a 2 plus or a 4 plus usually. This one we're going to assume 2 plus, so the formula will actually be SnCl2. And don't worry, I'll give you that on a test if you need it. So is this balanced? Let's see. 2 chlorines, I need to get 2 chlorines. That's nice. It fixed my hydrogen problem, and everything else gets 1s. Okay, video 8 will pick up here. So your chapter 8, video 8. So let's just review what we learned today. So we learned that in single replacement elements, an element will come in and kick out a less attractive element of the same type. That means that metals can only replace metals and non-metals will only replace non-metals. So to figure these out, you have to use your activity series, and on it, we're always looking to trade up, never trade down. So that's how it works with the metals. Same thing with your halogens. Just to remember, your halogens or halides, that's column 17. So you will always trade up, never trade down. Okay, and then I'll see you next time for our chapter 8, video number 8. Bye, guys.